Air Freight by Nafis, Caitlin, Nicholas, Justin, and Albert. What is air freight? The definition of air freight is the transfer and shipment of goods via an air carrier, which may be charter or commercial. Air cargo planes deliver goods very quickly from one airport to another and can ship across oceans. Air shipments go directly from the origin airport to the destination airport with no stops along the way. Items designated for air freight shipping arrive at and depart from the airport via a truck. The history of air freight. Air freight began in November 1910, Dayton, Ohio, when a department store shipped a bolt of silk from Dayton to Columbus. This first shipment was not just a shipment, it was actually a race against an express train to experiment if air freight would even be valuable. For many years, air freight was considered a novelty and was only affordable for the wealthy. It wasn't until 1927 cargo transport came into the industry, the first shipment going from Dallas, Texas to New York. By 1929, cargo weights were reaching over 200,000 pounds, a dramatic increase from just 2 years prior in 1927, when cargo weights were topping out at just 46,000 pounds. The transportation of cargo industry didn't rapidly take off until the beginning of World War II. World War II helped advance air freight to what it is today by forcing innovation, making planes bigger and faster, making them able to carry more and for longer distances. Without air freight today, we would not have some of the luxuries we have today, like imported foods and products. The cost. The definition is the price that a carrier charges to transport a shipment. Air freight is expensive due to fuel and speed. Base rate, or the actual weight, versus volumetric weight are crucial in finding hidden costs behind the rates. Actual weight is simply how much the item actually weighs. Volumetric weight is an estimated weight calculated by using the item's length, width, and height. Additional fees can be also expected, such as container freight stations fees, security surcharges, airline terminal handling fees, custom clearance fees, associated trucking fees, and cargo insurance. The capacity. The definition is the volume of product that can be carried from one point of origin to another point at one time. Air freight has a high transport capacity. Air freight rates discourage bulky cargo and use dimensional weight, which considers shipment density to determine a shipment's billable weight. To determine the potential payoff for any given flight, the weight and volume of the shipment must be obtained. Irregularly shaped items can take up more space than their actual volume would indicate. Shipment that is light in weight but large in volume takes up space that could be used for other shipments, thereby reducing revenue for the flight. The flexibility. The definition is the ability to deliver the product to the consumer. Air freight is a fast and efficient shipping method. It is a valuable mode to businesses needing to get products to international consumers quickly or to stay on track with their JIT manufacturing model. The flexibility. This includes factors such as material quality, output quality, new products, modifications, deliverability, volume, product mix, and resource mix. Material quality is the ability to cope with incoming material of varying quality. Output quality is the ability to satisfy demand for product of varying quality. New product is the ability to cope with the introduction of new products. Modification is the ability to modify existing products. Deliverability is the ability to change delivery schedules. Volume is the ability to accept varying demand volumes. Product mix is the ability to cope with changes in the product mix. Resource mix is the ability to cope with changes in the resource mix. Chartered aircraft. Chartered aircrafts are used by businesses and organizations that want to send goods and material through a cargo plane. Business rent these cargo planes from chartering companies and use them to ship large quantities of goods. Prior to renting, companies must consider the distance they will be traveling, the storage space in the aircraft, and the overall cost of loading and unloading the goods and the plane rental. Integrated air carriers. Integrated aircraft is used to transport specific packages and parcels to global locations. Well-known integrated air carriers include FedEx, UPS, and DHL. These parcel transporting companies are vital to international logistics because they provide the fastest service between the major points. They are responsible for the transportation of the goods and materials, and they also own all of the vehicles and services that are used to get goods from one location to another. Scheduled aircraft freighters. Scheduled aircrafts are usually used to carry passengers, but in some cases they're able to carry cargo underneath of the plane along with passengers. Freighters are simply to schedule aircrafts, except they strictly carry cargo instead of passengers. Freighters are able to hold loads of cargo which are stored underneath the plane. Freighters may be operated by civilians who are licensed to fly aircraft, military personnel, or cargo airlines. These types of planes generally have a large open space throughout the interior to provide room for storage. They also have one large central door to act as an access point for loads of cargo to enter through the plane. Some pros and cons of air freight. An advantage is that one of the biggest advantages is to selecting air freight is the speed of travel. Air freight and speed go hand in hand. When cargo needs to be moved quickly, air freight is the fastest available solution. According to FedEx, air freight department, a package can be shipped from Hong Kong to New Jersey in 1 to 2 days, while the same delivery by sea could take anywhere from 30 to 60 days or even more. The shipping speed is what makes air freight the most compelling shipping modes, and if a company or an individual needs to have something shipped to another part of the globe in a short amount of time, then air freight is the only shipping mode that is capable of doing so. A disadvantage, as stated previously, is the cost. Fortunately, this is a downside. Cost is the biggest downside in using air freight. Usually shipping via air freight costs more relative to land or sea for the same distance. This is because air freight costs are calculated through weight compared to sea and land freight, which is calculated through volume. Airlines can also decide how much to charge based on chargeable weight, which will add more additional costs to the expenses that have already been created based on the actual weight. Another disadvantage is that it's weather dependent. The disadvantage to being weather dependent is that it can cause issues in speed and efficiency of air freight delivery. While weather can cause problems to the ground or sea shipping services, is a much larger problem for air freight. Airports ground flights during inclement weather conditions such as hurricanes and blizzards. Luckily, this does not happen too often, and there has been less than 15% of late arrivals from air freight, as well as 2% of flights being canceled in 2018. Other causes for delay. In addition to weather, there are other causes for delay that are much less common. Clearing customs is typically a quick process, but when glitches occur in the system, massive delays can occur and shipment can get stuck in limbo. With the increased uses of plane, there becomes more air traffic, and with more traffic, there is more delays. Making up for lost time. One way pilots can make up for lost time is to take shortcuts. Flight paths are often zigzags instead of straight paths, so when pressed for time, pilots find out what waypoints they can skip in order to make up for some time. Having backup plans like extra aircrafts, for example, can help eliminate certain delays, but not everything can be planned for. To conclude, like any other mode of cargo transportation, air freight has its own sets of pros and cons. In And air freight provides a fast delivery method, and it is up to the individual on whether to utilize it or not.